Fred Film Radio, I'm Angelo Acerbi from the 42nd Torino Film Festival. Very happy to be here with the cast of Here's Yanni, the director Christina Eliopoulos, Julia Ormond, and Joe Cortese. Good morning.
Good
Welcome.
morning. Thank
Hello.
you.
Good morning.
Here's Yanni is a movie that started as a comedy and then becomes a drama. It's very touching, but very real. So the pain that the couple is going through is very well, we can all believe in what is happening. So I want to ask you, Christina, first of all, how did you work with them in order to make this kind of realistic feelings?
When you have two exquisite artists like this, becomes a lot easier, I'll say that. Both of them were very, very open to the idea. In fact, demanded that it not be a reinterpretation or an impersonation of mommy and dad.
Mm-hmm.
Could never do that. I love you guys, but you can't be mom and dad. I went to them with humility and with an open heart and said, this is how it felt for me. This is how I think it felt to dad. Because remember, dad couldn't articulate exactly what was happening, but I knew this is how it was for mom. And Julie and I had dozens of conversations about the feeling of where this extraordinarily strong woman was. And she was a type, most Greek women, we want to fix it. If there's a problem, we want to fix it. And here was this extraordinary woman, my mom, who couldn't fix it, but figured out that there was something she could do.
How to deal with it, at least. You know?
And that love was the answer.
Mm-hmm. Julia, the film is about you. It's about Yianni, of course, but it's about you because the one that goes through more struggle is the wife of this man who is a gorgeous, nice, funny man that all of a sudden this starts to become another person. But she still loves him, even if he doesn't recognize himself in him anymore. So it must be something kind of demanding for an actress to do this, because there is so much of a probably personal, or we all have some relatives that were sick, so we can all relate to that. So how did you portray this woman through your maybe personal experiences, if there was any?
I think that, it was fantastic to have Christina there to bounce off, to the degree that it was inspired by her family story. She was always there to have those conversations as an actor, whereas if Christina had not been there, I don't think I would have gotten the truth, the truer elements that we aimed for. I could aim for those with confidence. I think for me, the difficulty was the challenges of things like the accent and getting that right as much as I could. I had an extraordinary dialect coach in Joel Golds. But back on it being about her, I think it's about both of them, but it is him as the central character. And we learn about him even as he lessens in agency. I see it as he's revealed, like peeling layers of an onion. You see him all the way through these different stages of his life, things that maybe as a man he hasn't felt comfortable sharing. He talks about his past traumas. He talks about things, and in particular, for me, it was the emotion of what their own child, and that they get to revisit it because he forgets to forget. And that to me was just very, very beautiful in terms of how it spoke to it. And I think there was something that we haven't really mentioned it. Christina is also the writer of the piece, and one of the things that I was actually not as confident about was there's a tone in the piece that was quite vignette-y. It's little vignettes, that life is not as linear as we see it in stories. And I think her championing, making these choices as a writer and director, left it with a vibe that was a little bit different.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Yeah, I totally agree that the rhythm, the narrative pace was in a way that we were very, everything was very realistic. Everything was like, it's like it was actually happening to you. I mean, not just Joe. There is a very touching line that your character says at one point that I'm afraid to forget. I don't want to forget, which is I think what happens to those patients at some point. How did you? I think it was a very demanding role for you as well because you have to become somebody else, younger, sillier, like childish as well. How did you manage? How did you work on that with yourself
it's the
and with them?
maturity bit he has to work on, not the childish bit.
Okay, okay. Now
I'll
that
say-
said,
So it was a very interesting process, given the fact that I made the short 5 or 6 years ago. Okay. And that's when I first started investigating the disease of dementia. And of course, I had firsthand knowledge with Christina, which was great. So I had a lot of time to develop it. And, the difficult part in this playing this character is that, when you have dementia, it doesn't mean you have it 24/7. So you lapse in between the transitions of having the dementia and totally looking at the young boy on the beach and saying, "Are we supposed to be here? Do I know you?" And he really, at that moment, does not know who that little boy is, has no clue. So the transition in the diner, which you speak of when he says, "I'm afraid I'll forget," is really touching because, they do lose a son, which is sort of the secondary part of the piece, right? I basically, and this is the way I work in general, I don't believe that you become a character. I believe the character becomes me. Okay?
okay,
I believe that that's my Yanni. That's my interpretation, how I interpret this character to be based on all the knowledge that I have and based on what uh, the knowledge that she gave me and the research that I had done. And I sort of like tie it up in a big knot and I throw it out the window. And then I just trust my instinct, which is for me, the way I work is to have complete trust in my instinct. Whatever my instinct is telling me, that's what I go with. There's another moment, besides that moment when I believe I'm in the kitchen with Julia and she says to me, "You have to eat.
you have to eat. Yeah,
You have to eat," you know? And I love her so much. And I realize what she's trying to do. And he says, "I try.
that's right.
I'll try to do."
Yeah, was one of the most touching moments of the movie. Totally, because of this glimpse of conscience, common conscience.
Like as Joe says, when people suffer from this profound illness, they have moments of clarity.
Right.
Yeah.
And that scene was pretty much verbatim.
Mm-hmm.
Although it wasn't my mother, it was me feeding Dad. And he looked at me. He said, "A college girl, how'd you get to be so?"
Yeah.
That was the interesting part of portraying the character for me is those transitions going in and out of it. In one moment he has no idea who he's talking to, and then maybe 2 minutes later, it comes to him.
Yeah.
And to make those transitions believable, there's a couple of times that happens in the movie. There's 2 times that you spoke, and there's also a scene which I love, and it happens, is the scene in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I try to me is the payoff of her
Right.
at the height of her frustration, saying, "I feel like you're not even trying."
Yeah.
She's had enough.
Yeah,
She
she's
finally says to
well,
him,
which is totally understandable.
So when he comes back and says, "I I try.
Listen, Julia, I have one last question for you. Tonight you're going to receive an award,
No.
an achievement, a lifetime achievement award, the Stella dell'Amore. How does it feel to get an award when your career is not end? No, because
I hope it is.
normally those awards are given to at the end of the career. Your career is still going on.
It's actually really nice because I think as an actor, you're always, I think for the entirety of the time I've been working as an actor, I've been going, well, I wonder if that's the last one. Like you're forever going, is that the last one? Is that the last one?
Her career is
It's
far
just
from over.
very, it's lovely. It's wonderful to be recognized and acknowledged. And I will only accept it with a level of humility and a level of gratitude to say that it's very, I'm grateful for the movie and for the work and for having been given the opportunities that I have and the opportunity to be here. And yeah.
Well, thanks a lot. I will talk for ages, but we don't have time left. So I thanks a lot for Christina Eliopoulos, Julia Ormond, and Joe Cortese for Here's Yanni here at the Torino Film Festival.
Right.
Thank you very much for having been with us.
Thank
I'm
you.
Angelo Acerbi for Fred, the Festival Insider.